The chickens have come home to roost.
Where's our intro?
Our intro? We don't have an intro anymore. Where have you been, lady? No, we don't have an intro
I'm
anymore.
a senior citizen with dementia.
We're getting like more, we're chipping away at the show until it's just going to be the two of us in an empty studio. Hey, we're there anymore.
I know.
We're there already. You're watching dvtv Live. It's the 25th of October, and it's not often that an assassination attempt, multiple assassination attempts, get buried in the headlines.
But isn't this like this particular one? This bomber wasn't very sophisticated.
Right.
It's like a 12-year-old just went on the internet and typed in pipe bomb and find the first listing. And they're just terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously they have to take these really seriously.
Yeah. The thing is that, well, there's some talk like, were these devices meant to go off? Because none of them actually exploded. Now this
I heard one of them did in like a
really?
Yeah, I think, but it was already contained or something.
Okay.
But everything's being sent to some place called Quantico.
Yeah, which is the headquarters where they do all that research. Now, with all these unexploded bombs, that is a treasure trove of information for the FBI. I mean, think about it. There's stamps, there's computer labels, there's tape. Any of those things, any of those adhesive things can pick up microscopic. So sooner or later, they will catch up with this guy. It's almost assuredly a guy because women don't do this.
That's what they said for most FBI bomb profiles. It's usually like a lone man that's lonely. That's what they've been saying, but it really could be anybody or a group of people. It could be
anyone or a group of people. I doubt it's a group of people. I think it would be more sophisticated.
Oh, okay.
And even if these weren't meant to go off, it's not in the vocabulary of law enforcement, the words gag or prank or a joke. They take this deadly seriously because it's deadly serious. These people, this person, mailed a bomb to two ex-presidents, a sitting congresswoman, a former attorney general of the United States, a former
Secretary of State, former presidential candidate.
Yes.
What's that, crooked Hillary Clinton?
Yes, and Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Well, Robert De Niro got up at the Emmys and said, fuck Trump, and he said a lot of other similar things.
Yeah, but a lot of celebrities do.
A lot of celebrities.
Do you think
De Niro has been the one, De Niro is number one, more famous because he's been around for longer, and number two, he's more out front. He's more out front with it. I hope
they don't go after Drew Napontier, my favorite restaurateur.
Okay. Well, what has this person said?
Well, you don't know who Drew Napontier is?
No, I don't know any of these cool people that I should know.
Him and De Niro. He made all the Tribeca Grill.
He's partners with De Niro. Yeah. Well, they sent it to. Not the first reports this morning were it got sent to the Tribeca Grill. It actually got sent to his production company, which is in that building.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the person mailing these things isn't the most sophisticated. No. He couldn't find an address for John Brennan, so he sent it to John Brennan, care of CNN. John Brennan does not live in the CNN
Guess
building. What?
He has a low IQ.
He has a low IQ, yes, which is one of Trump's most famous insults.
Also, one of the victims, low IQ Maxine Waters.
Yes.
As he says, she doesn't actually have a low IQ. A low IQ is probably someone that has an IQ below 80.
Yeah, I was going to say
something
80
like
is
that.
like you're considered really stupid if you're below 80.
Yeah, literally that's a legal definition for a low IQ. And whatever legally is for legally retarded.
Right, yeah.
Based on
But we don't use the term retarded anymore.
Oh, you don't? Oh,
no,
sorry. I meant it in the when I said legally retarded, I didn't mean it like
I don't know what the proper term is, but
when you put legally in front of it, there's like a thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of terms that are not acceptable anymore. For instance, handicap. Do you know what the origin of the word handicap?
What?
Means you have your hand on your cap. Means you're crippled and you're begging on the street for money.
Oh.
So that that is not
that's why.
somebody who's disabled. I think disabled is the acceptable term, but handicapped is kind of insulting, implying that because of your disability, you're a worthless person who has to beg on the street. So, I mean, that's a good vocabulary change. The reason I said chickens have come home to roost, this is not the only manifestation of Trump's words that has happened. What about the Saudi prince, Mohammed bin Bonesaw? Yeah.
I really feel bad for Khashoggi's family.
And two of his kids are in Saudi Arabia, and they're not being permitted to leave either. One of them was pictured shaking hands with Prince Mohammed bin Bonesaw.
When? Recently?
Recently, yeah. Within the past couple of days.
Do you think his kids are just playing along?
It's hard to say. I know nothing about his kids. I didn't know he had kids until I saw that photograph.
They're U.S. citizens.
I don't know if they're U.S. citizens or not. Khashoggi was not a U.S. citizen, but he was a resident and a full-time employee of the Washington Post.
His wife is also like a permanent resident.
Yes.
They were in. I thought they were all in America at the time. I had no idea. That's crazy.
So yeah, and Trump basically gave permission to do this. He's been after the media. He's been, just last week
he didn't give permission to.
Well, he's been saying things like.
He probably didn't even know.
The guy who, the congressperson who body slammed a reporter. He was at a rally, I think it was in Montana. He's like, yeah, he body slams reporters. He's my kind of guy.
Yeah, he's an idiot, but I really don't think he's too much of an idiot to care about international affairs.
No, but he does care about the Saudis. He immediately defended them. He said, well, they give us $100 billion worth of contracts, which isn't true. It's more like 20 or 30 billion.
He couldn't have gotten some advice from the Bushes.
Yeah,
they would have been able to, them and Karl Rove, who is not a low IQ individual, would have mastered the art of getting around the media in this way better than him.
Well, Trump thinks he knows better, and the Bush would have handled it. Bush, who walked hand in hand with the Saudi princes on his Texas ranch. But I mean, the whole idea that the Saudis have been our loyal allies for so long, and they're our prized friends, is kind of absurd. Where did all the 9/11 hijackers, September 11th hijackers, were all from Saudi Arabia? Osama bin Laden was from Saudi Arabia.
Until he went off to Afghanistan.
We went off to Afghanistan. Now, do you know, I've told this too many times in the studio, but I will make this very brief.
What?
Why was he in Afghanistan? He was there to fight the Soviets.
Well, yeah.
Who did he get help from? He got help from the CIA. Because the CIA was looking for a Saudi prince to fight the Soviets, to represent the freedom fighters in Afghanistan. They're the good people fighting for their home country against these evil, invaders from the Soviet Union. Well, they couldn't find a Saudi prince. They found Osama bin Laden, son of a billionaire. They gave him a good chunk of money, I don't know if it was $750,000 or something, to buy arms and to train his rebels. And long story short, his rebels ended up being Al-Qaeda.
The Mujahideen or something.
Mujahideen, yeah. That's another chicken that came home to roost. And since I'm on the subject, El Salvador has long been, the Reagan administration sent tons of money and supported corrupt regimes in Central America, in El Salvador, Nicaragua. What's happening right now in Mexico? 4, 5, 6, maybe 7,000 people in this caravan that the right-wingers are going crazy about.
They were paid.
Oh, they were paid, yes.
Yeah,
$7,000 each, yeah. Just like we were paid to protest. We're being paid to protest by George Soros. We got $2,000 a program. We should do this every week, Christmas is coming up. We shouldn't miss any programs.
They're getting paid all of those.
Yes, they're getting paid. Now, and it
so
says
absurd.
a lot.
It says so absurd.
And people will
These
buy
people
this.
have nothing.
Yeah.
These people literally have nothing.
And they're
this
lucky
is like
to
their
get
last
out of.
chance.
They're lucky to get out of those countries alive. They leave because it's so violent there.
And it's their last
children
chance,
are being forced into gangs, and they're willing to settle in Mexico. You know, they're coming for the United States, but they'll go to Mexico because Mexico has less problems with drug cartels, less murders in the street. They have a big problem down there, but it's not as bad as the home country.
Some parts of Mexico are actually really pretty.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure parts of Mexico are, you know, gorgeous. But some parts of Mexico aren't
so great.
So great. You don't want to go there. You don't want to, you know, nothing against Mexico, nothing against Mexicans. I even like Mexican food, but, you know, so it says a lot that these people who are, they call them migrants. Migrant implies that somebody crosses a border for work. These people are crossing the border with their children. And hey, immigrants, we just showed a film about immigrants. We have an immigration series film going on in this studio over the next few weeks that's delaying setup of our program, and nobody's showing up for it. But anyway, you can find out more information at mnn.org. But anyway, immigrants, think about these people have walked thousands of miles. That's the kind of immigrants that we might want in this country. People who are willing to walk thousands of miles just to get here.
People just gave everything up like 80 years ago from Ireland, from Germany.
Ireland, Germany, Sicily,
European country.
Yeah. And there wasn't much to give up either. There was famine in Ireland. I think there was famine and floods in Sicily. You know, everybody
they just
there
hopped on
left,
a boat,
including my grandparents. Everybody left because conditions were shit there, and they were worried that their kids aren't going to survive until they grow into adults.
I mean, let's be honest here. Most of those immigrants are going to end up in like cities because that's where they live.
Yes.
Immigrants aren't going to come to fucking Montana.
Right.
Yeah.
Except to pick the crops. And that's what I was saying about all these kids that are in detention right now. Sooner or later, you know, that they've been orphaned by Trump. Their parents have gone back with no hope of ever seeing their kids again. And it's like, well, the kids are in the United States. I might get killed, but my kid is probably going to be safe. But I'm afraid a lot of these kids are going to be trained for jobs like in the fields, picking, you know, with their cousins who made it over the border without getting arrested.
Well, I heard they're either going to get adopted by like white people, or by I don't know. I've heard already like corruption and scandal with. These kids are getting adopted. Well, at least they're getting adopted by decent people. You know what I mean? But it's not their parents.
It's not their parents. You know what I
mean?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of these people that are adopting them are decent people.
And
they're being put in foster homes with decent people, but it's not their parents.
No, it's not their parents, and they've already been through a really traumatic experience.
Exactly.
Being put in cages. So a lot of chickens coming home to roost. I keep saying that. Now, that was the very controversial comment that Malcolm X made. They asked Malcolm X for a comment after Kennedy got killed, and he's like, well, the chickens have come home to roost. And everybody's, oh my God, how could he say that about the assassination of an American president? But there was some truth to that, and now there is more truth to what Trump puts out there is coming back, but not at him. Not at him, and that's the thing. It's coming back at the people he is.
I mean, how does he not, like, you know what really bothers me? And they were talking about it so much on CNN with Trevor Noah and Chris Cuomo. Like, how does he not mention any of these people by name? Like, he doesn't even reach out to, like, low IQ Maxine Waters or...
No, he mentions them. He mentioned her the other night by name.
But they never, like, he never reached out to any of these people and called them and be like, I'm sorry this happened.
Because he doesn't care.
He's such an, like,
he doesn't care.
So
and
crazy.
Yeah. He only cares about himself.
It is so crazy. And 2 years later, he's still talking about crooked Hillary. Do you think 2 years...
2 years later, they're still chanting, like, lock him up this week, lock her up.
2 years later, do you think, like, Obama was talking about McCain or talking about Romney?
No.
Or 2 years after the fact, do you think, like, Bush was talking about, like, what's the word, John Kerry, and how he beat him? No, they just move on and do their job.
The difference was they had an agenda. Trump's agenda is to knock down people, to vilify people, to make them the enemy, to make the press the enemy, and for his followers to take action. He encouraged this during the campaign. I remember he singled out reporters. He singled out Katie Tur. He singled out reporters in his big rallies, his big Nazi rallies that he had during the campaign. And said, "Oh, look at these dishonest people back here," and the whole crowd turns and growls at them. I mean, if that isn't, that's such a singularly dishonorable and cowardly.
It's such a
If you run for president, you should be able to deal with the press.
It's a small minority.
Yeah, but it's enough. It's
enough.
It's it seems to be, I'm not a detective. I don't have any inside information. I'm guessing, but it seems to be one person that mailed out those 10 bombs because they're all, maybe one low IQ person. But we don't know. There may be, they haven't opened up these bombs. There may be some horrible sarin or, sarin
gas or anything. But they said that the white powder in it wasn't.
Anthrax.
It wasn't anthrax. It didn't have anything. It wasn't a bioweapon.
Right. But even sending that stuff out is, even if it's harmless, it's still a big crime. And they're taking it very, very seriously. If only because the law enforcement people have to take it seriously because they're putting their own lives at risk to do that. The bomb squad comes down with their containment truck. I mean, every police precinct in the city, every firehouse in the city has a memorial to one of their colleagues who died on September 11th, or another terror thing.
Attack,
So they don't take this very lightly. Apparently, Trump does because he has not spoken out against it. He's come out and blamed the media, and he continues to attack his critics and continues to encourage his mob. And it's so funny he's using the word mob.
CNN sucks. CNN sucks. CNN. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it's fascism. This is fascism. This is the very textbook definition of fascism. And fascists don't have to do that much dirty work. They get their goons to do their dirty work. I'm reminded when people chant "lock her up" or CNN sucks about the 3 minutes hate in 1984. It's practically the same thing.
What's
where 3 minutes hate, where in a theater the villain in 1984 was named Emmanuel Goldstein, and they'd show an image of him in a theater, and everybody would get up and scream for 3 minutes. Scream hostilities and threats at this image. And if you didn't do so, you were considered unpatriotic, and the secret police would come and talk to you and say, what's wrong with you? That is the road down which we are going. So in 11 days, we have some chance of countering this. It's not so relevant in New York because
we're just going to vote for Cuomo like everyone else.
We're going to vote for Cuomo. There's not that many. There's not that many Republicans and very few Trump supporters in this area that are likely to get elected. However,
we voting, it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Vote for Cuomo like everyone else?
Yeah, we're stuck with Cuomo or vote for the Republican, right? So, but it does matter in many other states. Now in Georgia. It's supposed to be neck and neck. I don't believe...
That guy is such a crackhead. Oh my God, he is someone of low IQ.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even. Did you see his ad? His initial ad? He's like,
tell me about
I'm conservative as all get out. And it's like, you're just like, oh my God.
And he's the one who's doing the voter suppression.
No, but in the last scene, he's in a car and he's like, that's right, I'm going to round them up myself. So in your fucking ad, you are admitting to conspiracy of kidnapping. Basically. I'm not a detective.
And he's going to get votes for that, too.
But why don't you say, I'm going to get more ICE, what's that? I'm going to get more ICE agents here or something. That would have been so much better than saying, I'm going to conspire to kidnap illegals in my car.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you an idiot?
Yes, he's an idiot.
Like, whoever did that last scene, as deplorable as it was, you could have just been like, I'm going to get more ICE agents and get them out of the state or whatever.
Right.
That would have sounded so much better than I'm going to round them up myself. I'm like, really? Because if you're governor and you're trying to do that, that makes you an idiot.
Yes.
You can't do that as governor.
And who does that appeal to? Other idiots. Now,
I'm sorry.
The thing is that really bugs me about this is that we've known for a long time that
an idiot.
There are foreign influences, mainly Russian, but it could be Chinese, I don't know, mainly Russian, meddling, doing stuff to influence our election, doing illegal stuff. There's also problems with a lot of the voting machines. Now, there's problems going back more than a decade that have problems with these voting machines that have vulnerabilities.
Is this specifically in Georgia?
No, this is nationwide.
Okay.
There's something that tabulates the votes in 37 states. I don't have all the details, but that a hackers convention last month, I believe, in September, they said the hackers took a look at this system and they said we could flip the Electoral College very easily with this system. This system is vulnerable. There's been nothing done about that. There's been nothing done about the Russians. The only thing, it was in the Times, like in the past week, that the first steps are being taken. The FBI and the NSA are contacting the people they believe are hacking and telling them, we're aware of what you're doing. After 2 years, and it's 11 days before the election, now they get around to taking this huge action, which is, oh, we know what you're doing. And most of these people are on foreign soil anyway, so they're like, yeah, okay, good.
Montenegro,
good. We're gonna do more of it. So I don't have much faith in the
Well, Facebook doesn't
itself.
care because it's like all these social networking companies, they don't care. They don't care where the money's coming from.
Right.
As long as you're not threatening to kill anybody,
yes,
they don't really care what you're doing. You're not threatening to kill. You're not threatening to do mass violence.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I don't,
It's just like most of these ads are pretty much like, oh, like Stacey Abrams believes in
well, she burnt an American
drugs.
flag.
What?
She burnt an American flag. She did not, but that's what's going around on the internet.
Yeah.
She was supervising the burning of the original Georgia flag, which had the Confederate flag, right? Confederate flag. So that is being circulated as Stacey Abrams.
But she's well-spoken. She talks about issues. Whenever she goes on interviews at these national things, she talks about issues for Georgia.
And she has a good chance.
Yeah, she actually has a politician. And what does she have? Debt? I mean, it's like, is that a crime?
No, well, everybody has debt.
She's
I don't know
debt.
anybody.
Like,
I don't know.
Ooh, she's got debt. I'm like, okay, because
Kavanaugh had debt, $200,000 for baseball tickets. Somebody mysteriously paid off his debt.
Oh, Stacey Abrams
Somebody came up with $200,000 for Kavanaugh before the nomination process took place. Also, I mean, I just noticed on the news tonight that Newt Gingrich was being interviewed, and he was asked about what if Congress subpoenas Trump's tax returns, which Congress has the absolute right to do.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. And Gingrich actually said, well, then we'll see if the Kavanaugh nomination was worth it. Confirming what we already knew, that Kavanaugh was put on the Supreme Court explicitly to protect Trump. Not because he's a good justice, not because he's conservative. Trump had a whole list of other conservatives. But he went with Kavanaugh because, this guy's going to watch my ass.
Even his sister had like one particular person that she was from the Third Circuit that she was recommending.
Right.
And he passed her suggestion over as the second twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is like, I mean, he's all about family and all that stuff. So I thought he would take the advice of his sister seriously, because I mean, if she was like a federal judge for that long and appointed, by by Reagan, I think.
I believe by Reagan,
and by Clinton to the Third Circuit, where she spent most of her career. I mean, she can't be like a shitty judge.
Yeah, you would think. If I had somebody in my family that was a judge, I'd definitely value their opinion. But he doesn't care about anybody's opinion.
Yeah, and a lot of people didn't even know her middle name was because she goes by Barry. Right.
Yeah.
So people don't really know. Like a lot of people, they said that, it's that old lady that, whatever. They didn't really know that she hides it a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Which is interesting. But I would think like he would have followed the advice. Like he always has the ear of Ivanka. And I always thought like, he's one of those guys that's really big about having the ear of his family. And he doesn't even pay attention to his older sister who had probably whoever she was recommending. You know what I mean? I don't think it would have been terrible.
And remember when they were saying that Ivanka and Jared would be the adults in the room? They've all got big-time legal problems now, and we shall see. But there is a lot riding on this election, and it's kind of frustrating being in New York. Again, we can only vote for Cuomo and our local officials. We can't have any influence over the greater nation, but call your friends, call your family, make sure they get out and vote.
Or you should vote in Staten Island for Max Rose, Max Rose, Max Rose.
I don't care about Staten Island.
It's been all over the TV.
They went for Trump anyway, so.
It's all over the TV. I feel like I should be voting for Max Rose, and then I realize I can't.
I got a big political education when I was a teenager. I campaigned for McGovern in Staten Island.
Do you think
I got a lot
changed?
of doors slammed in my face. No, I don't think things have changed.
But
we're down to 9 seconds, 8 seconds.
Okay.
So we want to encourage you to get out and vote. Tell your friends and family, and join us next week. Good night. Good news.